everyone, and welcome to the Consumer Concert Artistry series, where I have the privilege of interviewing the very best in the business so we can learn what their secret sauce is and how they and why they enjoy success. Today, it is my true privilege to introduce to you Dr. Tracy Leslie, who, full disclosure, is a very dear friend, and she's been a successful director of bands at Webb Middle School in Nevada for 18 years. And she's increased the size of her program to over 300 kids with, get this, 5 successful concert bands. She's been invited to perform and guest conduct all over the West. And Tracy is also a leader in her profession, having held numerous leadership positions and organizational roles. And as with any successful band director, I could list her bucket list of accomplishments, but we don't want to take time to do that. But I would think that probably one of the awards and honors that it should be noted is that she was a recipient of the Outstanding Teacher Award in Clark County. And many of you may know that Clark County is the 5th largest school district in the country. Clark County has over 80% minority enrollment, and over 60% of those students are economically disadvantaged. And what Tracy does with those kids is absolutely miraculous. So, Tracy, I'm so grateful for your time. Folks, we're recording this on Saturday, and sitting out on her lovely patio with the other Dr. Leslie and lady enjoying a beverage. Tracy, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
And I know you've just begun the semester, and I'd like you to share some things that you feel help get your students off to a positive start. If I were a fly on the wall, what would I see and what would I hear in your rehearsals?
Well, I would hope that, first of all, the kids feel safe and they feel like they're in a place where they belong. The band room is that safe place where every kid who was looking for a place to be and belong, especially in middle school, which is such a hard age for kids, that band room is that place where they can go and feel safe and feel wanted. And so with my older kids, we try and start playing like the 3rd day of school. Okay, get all the paperwork done and then just start playing and building those routines and building the camaraderie with each other and developing a culture where they feel it's their place. Because band, for me, when I was growing up, those were my people, and I want my kids to feel the same. With my beginners, I want them to come in and not feel afraid of what band is, because it's foreign to them and they're not really sure what to expect. And I want them to come in and feel you're in a place where it's okay to make mistakes. You're learning something new that you've never done before, but we're all doing it together. And just watching them go from absolute beginners to being able to just be great musicians is just the best part of my job, I think.
And creating a safe space is so important, especially now. And kids need that, and the fact that you nurture that is absolutely beautiful. So we need to keep our students engaged. We need to be motivated, and you're a master at that. Share some ideas with us.
Well, I teach from bell to bell. That's kind of, I'm a real proponent of having a set routine and having a structure. They come in, they know what to do when they walk in the room. They know how to walk in the room. We start with warm-ups, but I try and break up the rehearsals so that they're not always rehearsing like one chunk of 8 measures. We're breaking it up. We're doing rhythm practice. We're doing sight reading, and just try and keep the rehearsal moving, keep them engaged, because they get distracted very easily. So being able to pace the class in a way that keeps them engaged. And my favorite thing is at the end of the period when I say, okay, it's time to pack up, and they all go, oh no, that went by so fast. I was like, yes, that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted to feel like you're accomplishing something, and we're doing it so fast you don't even realize it's happening.
Yes, absolutely. So you mentioned sight reading, which, as we all know, is pivotal to any successful band program. How do you have a curriculum for sight reading? How do you approach that?
Well, I do a couple of things. Try and start sight reading with the kids uh, when they're in their second semester as beginners. I mean, really sight reading pieces. But I do it with all of my groups at least 3 times a week. So I have some of I love the Queenwood books that
Mhm.
have the multiple pieces, Anne McGinty, John Edmondson, and I have sets of those, and I just will have my section leaders pass those out and I'll say, okay, turn to number 5, and we'll go through a quick explanation, and then we sight read. I also have some actual sight reading books. I feel really badly. I can't remember the author's name, but they're really sort of short sight reading excerpts that gradually get more difficult. And just getting them to play those is such a great experience. And I always tell them, you're 100%, you're going to make mistakes.
Mhm.
This is about recovery. And the more you do it, the better you get. And so sight reading is a big part of what I like to do with my kids.
And that hits on such an important part, because they're to me, to my thinking, there's a school of thought that we teach everything through the music, through the piece. And if you don't have that sight reading component and teach kids how to read rhythmically and so on and so forth, teaching that piece takes a heck of
Mhm.
a lot longer, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And you can also teach when sight reading, you say, okay, as you're sight reading, think about who has the melody at a particular point. Balance to that. Don't just read the notes, play the music.
Whoa, terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're keeping them motivated, you're keeping them active. Do you have a prescribed set? You kind of touched on this already, but a set of method books that you use, say from your beginners, or some kind of technique books for the more advanced students?
So with my beginners, I alternate books each year. So I use Essential Elements 2000,
Mhm.
and then I alternate that with Accent on Achievement. And I alternate it because, one, as a teacher, I don't want to get glued down and do it exactly the same every year. And that gives me an opportunity to just kind of not being quite so the same
Mhm.
every year. And then it also gives the students an opportunity when they're in that middle group, that intermediate group, if they have to repeat that class for whatever reason, maybe their schedule doesn't allow them to be in the advanced group, or they're just not ready for it academically or musically, they're not playing the same music the next
Good
year.
idea.
they're
Yeah.
they're changing they're changing and it's new for them.
Fantastic.
So yeah.
So
And then with my older kids, I use technique and musicianship book
mhm.
with them.
Do you do that every day, or how do you plan that?
With my younger kids, the beginners were primarily in the book uh, for first semester, and then second semester I supplement it with full arrangements once I feel like they can read and think more independently.
Mhm.
And then my intermediate kids is sort of half and half, and I just kind of pick the exercises I like. I also been using a book called Make It Happen that was written by a colleague of mine, Rainey Ellison, and she's was a band director here in Clark County. She's retired since, and full disclosure, she and I and another colleague of ours, Doug Beasley, are writing a beginning band version of that book. So the Make It Happen book is sort of an intermediate level supplement to the method books. So we're working on the beginning band book right now. And then with my advanced students, I mostly use the book as technique builders, tone builders, technique builders, and supplement it with the full band arrangements that we work on.
Fantastic. Now, see, that's why I love doing this, because I have to look up Make It Happen. You my interest in that. So And Tracy, I know you've been teaching for, well, I'm not going to say a long time because I've been teaching for a long time. Still, I have many, many years ahead of you. But how do you maintain your passion and your energy? One of the things I know you do that kind of blew me away is that you're a kickboxer.
Well, that definitely gets a lot of the frustration, daily frustration out of my system. But I think that I've sort of um, I don't know, looked at my career differently since the pandemic,
Mm,
because teaching online really defeated me a little bit. I felt um, it wasn't banned. It
yeah.
wasn't that connection. So coming back, I walk in every day and I say, we're making music together in person. It's it's a blessing. And that I had a principal several years ago. His name was Pat Skorkowski. He ended up being our superintendent for a couple of years, several years ago. But he had this saying that I have always tried to live up to, is choose your attitude.
Mm,
You can choose your attitude. You don't have to be grumpy. You don't have to be unhappy. You can choose to be positive. You can choose to be enthusiastic. And so I try to live up to that. Um, and I think it helps me process the day better when
mhm.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're making music today. These students are learning and they're engaged in what they're doing. They're showing up. We've had a real problem since the pandemic with absenteeism,
Mm,
real problem. But a lot of kids will say, I came to school today because I wanted to be in band.
yeah.
And so that makes me want to show up. That
Sure.
makes me want to be there, because that's, again, their safe space. And if coming to school for only band gets them to school, then we've solved something. We've, at least for that day,
Absolutely.
and we see so many more kids with anxiety and depression.
Mm,
And so being in that ensemble with those kids that are working together, I think it's helping them, and it's important that we
oh,
continue to do it.
know it.
So
You
that's
know it.
one that's one I every day, I creak out of bed and I, nope, today's going to be a good day. Choose your attitude. And it's a miracle we're making music together.
What a
So
great takeaway from this too. I think that's really important because, I can remember when I was a young teacher and there would be this one kid and I had to teach myself not to be thinking about that one kid when I walked into rehearsal because I'd already be in a bad mood instead of
yeah.
looking at the rest of them sitting there just, and we feed off of that. And I think that's terrific. So Tracy, I know you've done a number of commissions for your band. Do you have anything in the works?
I actually do. John Bourgeois has
Ah,
written a piece for me. It's called Parisian Bells. It's an arrangement.
mhm.
It's actually been in the works for the last couple of years, but as I've been rebuilding my program since the pandemic, I feel we're finally back to, a really good instrumentation, and the students have good skills.
Mhm.
And so we're going to be working on that coming up this next semester.
Ah,
So that'll be fun. And I really enjoy sharing the stories with my students, working with the Colonel and uh, his life, and it's pulling it all together, full circle.
well, and letting kids meet and know the composer or the arranger in with this
Mhm.
case, I think that's absolutely terrific.
Yeah.
Two-part question.
Hmm.
What do you, and this is a hard one, but to what do you attribute your success? And if you could give advice to yourself as a first year teacher, what would it be?
I think with my success, um, I'm pedagogy. I really a proponent in making sure to set the kids up right and reinforce and reinforce and reinforce. That's the expectation that they know what to do when they come in the room, where to put their case, how to open their case. And then once they have the system down, it helps with classroom management. It helps with pacing. Everything becomes easier, but making sure that they're set up correctly and they're setting themselves up for success. So I always say to the students, okay, set yourself up for success. And that's a reminder of posture, hand position, where their stand is positioned, having a pencil on their stand, everything. So as soon as we have kind of the setup for success, then we can move forward with everything else. I have high expectations for my kids, and I think that they sometimes think I'm the mean band director, but I know that they can accomplish so much, and they have to believe that at some point. So I have high expectations for them. One of the things I think that has truly helped me is I have some really great colleagues at my school. So one of the pieces of advice I think I would give would be, at least in Clark County, most band directors, we're the only one at our school that does what we do. We don't have other band director colleagues to work with. So we're kind of alone. So my performing arts team at my school is my team. We're a team. We work together, and we are each other's backbones.
Mhm.
And that was really important when we were bringing my current colleagues on, my choir teacher, Jen Lowry, and orchestra teacher, Rodrigo Corral. I said, we work as a team. We don't compete against each other. We don't try and outdo each other. We don't talk about each other's programs in a negative way. We support each other. And I think that has helped me to continue to be successful, but it's also helped us to build our programs as a whole. We have half of our student population are in music at
Wow.
my school.
That's
So, and because of that, I think that our administration has realized what a great thing that is for the school as a whole. And they're much more supportive because of it. And that's also because of the team that we have at my school.
right.
So that's important.
Well,
And to have a mentor.
oh, that too. Yeah. And the
Have,
thing is, I think it's important for people to understand that you just didn't arrive and all of a sudden your band program got good.
oh, goodness, no.
And it was a bit, but you stayed with it. I think too many young teachers want to go somewhere where they can have a good band instead of build a good band where they are. So, this is short because I know everybody after COVID was so zoomed out. We try to limit the time on this. I could spend hours with you, Tracy.
Yeah.
And your enthusiasm is key to everything that you do. So any last words of wisdom for teachers who are watching and share some of the same challenges that we all do?
I would say, to reiterate what you say, is it takes time to build a program, and to give it that time. And it's frustrating because it's not happening overnight, but it does take time. But once you have sort of a culture in your position where you have that success, it becomes exponential as it grows. And just know your pedagogy.
Oh,
Know your
yes.
I have had several student teachers, and just knowing the pedagogy of the instruments and knowing how to fix things and help the students, know your fingerings, just really those basics are really important, because you're going to have things thrown at you. You're going to have interruptions during the day. The more you have your knowledge base, the more smoothly things will go, I think.
Absolutely. And the more you've experienced, sometime I'll interview a band who's been teaching for 30 years and say, and I'll say, the weakest section in your band are your clarinets. And they'll say, yeah, I don't know much about clarinet. And I really want to say, I say it pretty gently. You mean you've been teaching 30 years and you haven't found out how to do that yet? Because it's so very important. Even if you're a college professor, understanding the basics of an instrument and fundamentals, it's what makes us good teachers. So, Tracy, thank you so much for your time.
Oh,
And
my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I wish you a great year and look forward to hearing John Bourgeois' piece. I know your kids are going to play it really well.